Redeemed, rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Have you guys heard about this? Have you guys heard about this story? The USC School of Social Work, how fitting that name is. The USC School of Social Work wants to ban the word field. You heard me right. They want to ban the word field, F-I-E-L-D. These people are complete and utter morons. These institutions of higher learning are turning into, I don't know, anti-smart institutions. I don't get it. It's insane. These people are banning the word because they think it's they say it's anti-black and anti-immigrant. They're trying to end racism, but what they're doing is perpetuating racism by looking at everything through the lens of race. This is absolutely sickening to me. I'm going nuts with this. Listen, we can't allow the left to do this anymore. We have to make sure that we hold on to our words. They don't get to just change words and meanings whenever the hell that they want to. It's so frustrating. Here's what the left understands. If they can control the narrative, they can control the debate. Let's not allow them to control the narrative any longer. Think about this. Think of the things that you can no longer say. You guys know the classic movie, Field of Dreams. You can't even say the word. You can't even say field anymore. You can't say Field of Dreams. You can't say track and field. You can't say Lambeau Field. You can't say practice field. They want to replace the word field with the word practicum. No, thank you. So instead of Field of Dreams, you would say, hey, let's go watch Field of Practicum. Let's go to run track at or go watch the meet, the track and practicum meet, or let's go to Lambeau Practicum. Let's go to the practice practicum. These people are idiots. And we are surrounded by idiots. We can't be controlled by idiots. So please, let's not play the left's game anymore. I'm not going to participate in banning the word field. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that I say it more often. So screw you, USC School of Social Work. What morons. All right, now let's move on. I want to... There's a lot of news, obviously a lot of news. A lot of news broke yesterday. Major story with Joseph R. Biden, the president-elect. I'm obviously going to get into that. We've got some audio, some video that I would like to play for you. But, man, we've got a lot to talk about. Let me just do this. And welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. Also, subscribe. Where else can you go? SalemPodcastNetwork.com, TheCarlJacksonShow.com. Please follow us on all social media, wherever you are. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, True Social, Getter, Facebook. You can follow me at all of these outlets. So please feel free to do so. We would love to see you there. And I try to correspond if you message me as frequently as I can. And also, please support our sponsor, MyPillow. Mike Lindell, MyPillow, a great patriot making great products, American made, American jobs, American manufacturing. I absolutely love it. Right now, they have a deal for a 6-piece towel set that is on sale for only $39.98. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, that is CARL, or give them a call, 1-800-858-0263. As usual, all of their products come with a 10-year warranty, a 60-day money-back guarantee. You cannot beat that. And you're going to get great towels. You know, you're not going to, when you go to Target or Walmart or one of these places, you get these towels that look nice and thick and beautiful. You get them home and they feel all dry and crusty and they don't really do the job of drying you. Well, these MyPillow towels do the job. I absolutely love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. Anyway, mypillow.com. All right. We got so much to get to. It's not even funny. Let me just let you know some of the top headlines, some of the things that are hitting today, and we'll go back and we'll play some audio clip on some of these issues. There's a story that's happened in New York. It was on the tip sheet today. Laura Ingraham talked about it last night. But you got illegal aliens in this hotel in New York City. I believe it's called the Row Hotel. Let me look that up real quick just to make sure. But illegal aliens, they were, some of the illegal immigrants that have crossed the open border, the open southern border. They're in New York City. Many are going to New York City, or many are being bused to New York City. It has become an overwhelming problem for New York City, just like it is a more than overwhelming problem in places like Texas, Arizona, so on the border states. But these people, there's been several immigrant families, illegal immigrant families, that have apparently destroyed a hotel there. They're getting everything for free. I just want to make sure that I get the name of this hotel right. Yeah, thousands of immigrants are being housed at a New York City hotel at taxpayers' expense. This, according to Fox News. An employee at Row, that's the name of the hotel, one of New York City's best-known hotels, as a matter of fact, became a whistleblower. An employee did. After he released video and photos of illegal immigrants that were trashing the hotel and leaving fresh food out to rot. We'll get to that story because we've got some audio and some video that I want to play for you. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our Rumble channel. Guys, listen, we need to build these video places up, these video outlets. So please help us out. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Rumble. It really helps us to get the word out. If you watch it, if you rate, if you review it, it really does helps us to move up the chart, helps us to get a little more visibility. So we would so much appreciate if you did it. I'm just being real with you. It is part of the business here. But that's a story that we'll touch on. More classified documents. Obviously, that is the biggest story. Joe Biden's garage. You know what you keep in your garage? You keep excess stuff that you can't, store inside of the house. You may keep your car in there. You may keep your washer and dryer in there. You may keep old Christmas supplies and, Thanksgiving decorations, all that kind of stuff, Halloween decorations in your garage, stuff like that. Who knows? Some of your tools, your gardening tools, some of your handyman type tools. That's what you keep in your garage. But here are a couple of things that Joe Biden keeps in his garage that I don't think a lifelong politician and a former VP should have in his garage, especially while he was VP. I don't think he should have a classic Corvette, and I certainly don't think he should have classified documents. Have the tables turned on Joe Biden, and we're going to play some audio because Peter Doocy called his behind out. All of this nonsense going after Trump. Trump was the president of the United States. He can declassify documents. Biden cannot. Biden can't take any documents. He can't declassify documents. He doesn't have the lawful authority to do so, or at least he didn't, I should say, while he was vice president. But it turns out this fool is stacking documents, classified documents, all over the place. First at this Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C., where they found documents, and now they found them in his garage. Some people have been showing the photos of his garage where his classic Corvette was backed into, where you could see these little file cabinets and papers that are just stacked up. He's like, my garage is locked. You'll hear the audio. This guy is a clown. And what's even more damaging is Merrick Garland knew this information. They found out that the papers at the Penn Biden Center existed on November 2nd. Merrick Garland says he found out, I believe it was November 4th. I don't believe him. But anyway, the papers were found, the classified documents were found on November 2nd. And then on November 18th, Merrick Garland announces that he's appointing Jack Smith as special counsel to look into Trump's documents, despite the fact that he knew Biden had classified documents and he knew that it was illegal for Biden to have classified documents at the time because Biden was vice president when he, dare I say it, stole them. And we also know that Hunter Biden owned that house in Wilmington, Delaware in 2018. He had access to those documents. So now we found classified documents at the Penn Biden Center. We found classified documents in Biden's garage. Where else are we going to find them? Have they checked Jill Biden's purse? We need to check everywhere. Check underneath this couch. Check his sock drawer, FBI. These people are complete and utter frauds. And FBI, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Merrick Garland, too, he shouldn't get off easy on this. He has just appointed this new special counsel, a guy by the name of Robert Hur. But I got to be frank with you. I'm not sure if I trust Robert Hur. Robert Hur, was an assistant, I think, deputy general under Rod Rosenstein and also under Christopher Wray. He may be a good guy. I don't know, but I'm a little suspicious. Okay. He worked under Christopher Wray. We all know that Christopher Wray is completely corrupt and a weakling, or maybe he's just a weakling. He worked under Rod Rosenstein. All the while, this Russia collusion narrative, this Russia collusion hoax was going on, undermining then President Donald Trump. It's absolutely insane. Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure if you guys know. Maybe you have heard. I definitely don't want to insult your intelligence in any way, shape, or form, especially if you listen to this show, because I know you're brilliant if you do. And I know that you're informed, but I want to make sure that I get this right. Let me see if because I uploaded the latest Twitter files. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Carl Jackson Show on Twitter. But follow me there. The latest Twitter files, as usual, in my opinion, are very, very damning. Matt Taibbi, let me see. Let me search for him here. Matt Taibbi just put on blast Senator Dianne Feinstein, Senator Blumenthal, and also Adam Schiff. You knew Adam Schiff was going to be involved in it. But basically, if I can give you the gist of this, I'm trying to look this up right now. I'm sorry, as we go here, working hard for you. That's exactly what I'm doing. But okay, so the latest rendition, the thread of Twitter Files 14, the Russiagate lies, the fake tale of Russian bots, and the release the memo hashtag. So basically, there were no Russian bots. And Twitter executives, to their credit at the time, Yoel Roth and a couple of others, as Senator Blumenthal, Senator Dianne Feinstein, and also Adam Schiff, we're told by Twitter execs, this story is hyped up. There are no real Russian bots. They looked into it. They knew that the story was completely fake. There were no Twitter bots that were just overwhelming Twitter and trying to help Donald Trump out. It just didn't exist. Nonetheless, it was Blumenthal, it was Dianne Feinstein, and it was Adam Schiff that kept perpetuating the lie, despite the fact that the Twitter executives actually pushed back. I was shocked. The Twitter execs pushed back, but eventually they caved because these politicians were so persistent. So it was the politicians forcing Twitter compliance. It's absolutely amazing. It's fascinating. But read through Twitter Files 14. The whole Russian collusion gate is Russian collusion gate is exposed, or Russia collusion hoax is Russia collusion. Man, I can't get my words straight. Russia collusion hoax is totally exposed. And it's an easy read, Twitter Files 14. So I would suggest you go through them. Just go to Carl Jackson Show, at Carl Jackson Show on Twitter, and read through them. There's about 30 little Twitter threads, and they're real easy to read through. So make sure you check those out, por favor. All right, I want to make sure I get to everything. McCarthy says that he's willing to release 14,000 hours of the J6 videos. I think he should. He said, obviously, he's got to look into it. I'm paraphrasing. He's got to think it through. They just don't want to release stuff willy-nilly. And again, I'm paraphrasing here, but he does say that he's willing to do it. And it's important that he does it. Why? Because the J6 political prisoners, they need a defense. And if any of these videos will prove their innocence, then they deserve the right to a fair trial. And so we shouldn't have edited versions that were brought to us by the J6 committee, a bunch of fake and frauds that they were. That's just not right. If any of us, it doesn't matter our political affiliation, if any of us were in jail or accused of a crime, we deserve a fair trial. That's our system. Even if we're bad, even if we're the bad guy, that's our system. under the law, under the rules of law in the United States, and we deserve a fair trial. All right, so that's just something to consider. And I'm glad to hear Kevin McCarthy talk this way, but we need to make sure he follows through. 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. I want you to call the switchboard, ask for Kevin McCarthy's office, and make sure that he follows through on releasing the 14,000 hours of J6 video. These people, if they're guilty, so be it, but they deserve a fair trial. They deserve to make bail, right? Some of them have been in jail, kept as political prisoners ever since they were captured, in my opinion. So it's the right thing to do. And hopefully Kevin McCarthy will do it. Okay, let me get to some video. All right, let me get to some. I mentioned the stories. Now I want to share some video with you. And then I want to talk to you about a major story that I've been trying to get to all week on Officer Tatum's show, but the news just kept breaking. And I wanted to deal with the breaking news to make sure that I kept the audience up to date and informed. But I want to talk about something that's happening with these SAT tests. And I think it's a really bad thing. SATs, a lot of anti-SATers are claiming the SAT it represents inequality in America, and that's really stupid and it's really dangerous. I want to break down why. A couple of other pieces of news, though, I do want to give to you real quick. Sadly, Lisa Marie Presley has passed away at the young age of 54 years old. Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley, has passed away at the age of 54, apparently of a cardiac arrest. No other information that I'm aware of at this point has been given. So it's so sad to hear the news. Obviously, man, you hear the name Presley, it's just sad. It's sad. She dies at a young age. Obviously, the mother, Priscilla Presley, said she was just, a very strong, warm-hearted woman. The most, warm-hearted woman or something to that effect that she knew. Obviously, she's prayed for Priscilla Presley. She's, good Lord, she's the only one left. She's the only one left. So it's so sad to hear that news. Also, but good news, and I hadn't followed up on this, and many of you may already know, but the Bills' Damar Hamlin has been fully discharged from the hospital. This was actually, as of a couple of days ago, he was flown to Buffalo, New York, where more tests were done, thorough tests were done on his medical condition. So he had a comprehensive medical evaluation, and everything seemed to work out okay. You're talking about a God-sized miracle. So he will continue to work with the doctors and the team doctors of the Buffalo Bills and other doctors to make sure everything goes fine. But as of right now, I mean, obviously he still has some recovery to go through. But as of right now, man, this just looks like a God miracle. So praise God for that. Seems like he is an amazing guy. By all accounts, he is. So I'm so glad to hear that for Damar Hamlin. And it's going to be hard not to be rooting for the guy on the field if he does indeed make it back to the field. And I certainly hope he does. All right, so that's cool news. All right, now let's get down to some video because here's the corrupt Joe Biden. And guys, let me set this up. Let me set this up because a couple of things are happening with Joe Biden. Either Joe Biden's team are scared because the GOP now own the House and they look serious and intent on diving into these investigations into the deep state, DOJ, FBI, etc. And so maybe as a result of that, they're like, let's release this stuff now. Let's get it out. Another take might be, hey, let's sabotage this. Let's sabotage this fool. He wants to run for president in 2024. Let's sabotage him because we want Gavin Newsom or somebody or someone else, right? Let's sabotage him now. He's adamant about running in 2024. It's obvious that the guy is suffering from dementia. To anyone that's honest, if they say he's not, it's because they're lying and they're partisan hacks. But for any of us that are honest and honest people with common sense, it's obvious that this guy is not all there. It's completely obvious. So he wants to run in 2024. They don't want him to run because he does a horrible job of communicating and his policies are horrible. And by the way, it doesn't matter if it's Gavin Newsom. It doesn't matter what face is slapped on the fascism. All right. It doesn't matter. All of the Democrats that could potentially run are going to suck. I don't care if it's Kamala Harris. I don't care if it's Gavin Newsom. I don't care if something new pops up. The left has gone bonkers. They have gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They are straight up communists. And we need to understand that. There's even factions of people, moderates, saying, hey, listen, we got the majority. It's time for us to step up again. They're asking John Tester, I believe of Montana, Senator John Tester, or Joe Manchin to step up and run for president in 2024 to save their party because they believe that it's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And there is evidence that it has completely gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I forgot to mention this story. You know, the House passed a Born Alive bill and to a number, except for the exception, I think, of one Democrat that voted for the bill, the Born Alive bill. I think 3 others may have voted present, Democrats. All Republicans voted for the Born Alive bill. All Democrats, with the exception of, I believe, 4, voted for the Born Alive bill. What is the Born Alive bill? All the House Republicans are asking for is common decency. If a baby survives abortion, that baby deserves medical care. That baby deserves medical care. The moron Nadler, Congressman Nadler, was like, well, it could be dangerous and it could be a danger to, and I'm paraphrasing, it could be a danger to the baby's life if we allow the baby to go get medical help. What a moron. But this is the Democrat Party. So just keep that in mind. You have the majority, almost all of the Democrat Party congressmen vote for a baby to sit on a table if they survive an abortion and die. That's the Democrat Party that exists today. This is why I tell you all the time, I don't want to compromise with the left. I want to defeat the left. And I hope you feel the same. We need to defeat this party. This party has become evil. It has become evil. And I don't say that to be hyperbolic. It's just true. All right, let's play this video clip before I go too far here. This is Peter Doocy calling out Joe Biden on classified documents, you know, the place where you keep your Christmas ornaments and Thanksgiving ornaments being kept in his garage. And they have the audacity to go after Trump when it's not the same thing. Trump was a president. Biden was not at the time. Here's Peter Doocy questioning Biden. Audio clip number 1. Por favor, Gabe.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street. But anyway,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident.
All right, you can cut the tape. I encourage you to go watch this online. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Rumble channel, because you need to see it. It's obvious this guy is caught and he knows it. He's caught and he knows it. You can see his expression. You can watch him going line for line. He cannot screw up. His lawyers, his handlers wrote him a script, and he cannot screw up because he's caught. He knows it. The left knows it. And again, I'm not sure. Maybe this is, hey, let's get this news out. Let's get this out early. So that it's not an issue. Get it out early so it's not an issue, right? Going into 2024, hoping that Americans will suffer short-term memory loss. That's another scenario, right? Let's get it out early. Because I will say this: we all know nothing's going to happen to this guy criminally. I'm sorry to say that, but listen. Democrats run the Senate. He's still in the White House. It's not like he's going to throw himself in jail or something like that. He's going to fight this tooth and nail all the way to the end. I suspect that he will get to serve out his term, but we'll see. We'll see how much pressure Democrats are going to want to put on him. But Democrats are putting pressure on them, and I hear Democrats coming out talking about I think it was Sonny Hostin of The View. Is it possible stuff was planted? It was one of the morons on The View. Are Republicans? No, Republicans aren't planting classified documents at Biden's house when he was a vice president. They didn't care about him because everybody knew that that Joe Biden, including Barack Obama, was the dumbest person in Washington. Literally, people knew it. People would say it all the time. You would read about it. This guy plagiarized speeches in the past, trying to pass them off as his own while he was in office. The guy lied about his record, his college record, his academic record. The guy was a complete liar and a moron, and everyone knew it in Washington. Nobody planted anything except Joe Biden himself and perhaps Hunter Biden. Or Joe Biden, I suspect Joe Biden, so that Hunter Biden could have access to the information. So Hunter Biden knew who to talk to and knew who to leverage for the Biden crime family in order to enrich all of them. That's what was going on. Let's just be real. That's what was going on. Absolutely insane. Keeping classified documents next to your Corvette. How the heck do you afford that beautiful classic Corvette? Or how did you when you were a senator? How did you become a millionaire 10 times over as a senator, as a vice president? On your salary? These are the questions we need to be asking. All right, I got to move on. Do you want to share that Kevin McCarthy, one of the things that he did a couple of things. The left was talking about George Santos. You guys know the congressman from New York that was elected, lied about everything. His entire freaking resume is a complete and utter lie. And he won due to the red wave in New York, thanks to Lee Zeldin, by the way, that led that charge. Former gubernatorial candidate and congressman in New York. But this guy, George Santos, got on in it, and he's a complete and utter liar. All right. The guy has a sordid past, no doubt about it. But in my opinion, that's up to the voters to sort it out in the next election cycle because he's in. But one of the things that Kevin McCarthy did that was impressive, I got to admit, he talked about, listen, there's tons of liars inside of the House. Hate to tell you, there's tons of liars inside of the House, but they're working through it. And then he went on to talk about Eric Swalwell. You guys remember Eric Swalwell. So you have this guy, George Santos, that lied about his school record. Okay. He lied about his school record. He lied about his career, which should have been easy opposition research for anyone running against the guy. But nonetheless, he lied about it. He won. But the media was coming after Kevin McCarthy, asking about this guy. And basically, Kevin McCarthy turned the tables on them. How come you guys weren't so vigilant? And I'm paraphrasing here, but how come you guys weren't so vigilant when it came to Eric Swalwell? Eric Swalwell was on the House Intelligence Committee, and he remained on the House Intelligence Committee, despite the fact that Nancy Pelosi knew, and it was proven factual, that he was sleeping and not sleeping with a Chinese spy. So compare that. This guy, Eric Swalwell, sleeping with a Chinese spy, which is more dangerous? George Santos lying about his career, or Eric Swalwell on the House Intelligence Committee, one of few who gets the most intel information in the entire world, definitely the United States, sleeping with a Chinese spy. But Democrats kept him on. Nah, we're not playing this double standard. good for Kevin McCarthy for speaking up. And again, he also said that he's willing to release the 14,000 hours of J6 video. Let's keep him accountable. Last video I want to show you. Last video I want to show you here, and then I want to get on the SATs and talk about that for a few minutes, what's going on there. But this is what's happening at the Row Hotel in New York City. This is what happens. Illegal immigration run amok when people don't come to the country legally. When people refuse to come or use the legal process to enter our country and refuse to assimilate, and you have a Democrat Party that allows the borders to just remain wide open, what you're seeing at this Row Hotel in New York City is exactly what's going to happen all over the place. The people that want to come to the United States and do it the right way, they're going to go through the process of entering the country illegally. They're going to appreciate being into this country. They're going to assimilate. They're going to assimilate with our way of life. They're going to assimilate with a job. They're going to assimilate just the way things are done. But when you get everything for free and you're allowed to break into a country, I want you to see the video of what that looks like when people don't have to go through a process that they have to learn to appreciate. These people don't appreciate being in America. Here's the audio clip. This from the Ingram angle last night.
This is bags and bags of food being thrown away because the migrants don't want to eat them. And they just go to waste. This is all food that is going to waste. This is insane. This is fresh. This is good food. Good food, but they don't want to eat it. They said they don't like it.
Now, what you just saw is this huge amount of food that's been thrown away daily at this big New York City hotel that's being used to house illegal immigrants. Now, according to this whistleblower, more than 36,400 have come to New York City in the last few months, and city officials have put them up in at least 14 hotels, one of them being the Row in Times Square. Now, that's where the pictures that you're seeing right now were taken. My next guest, Felipe Rodriguez, says that he's worked there since 2017, but now that illegals have taken it over, the place is complete chaos. And Felipe joins me now. Felipe, good to see you tonight. Now, when you say chaos, tell us what you mean. Fights, drugs, altercations, other violations?
Good evening. Nice for you to have me. Thank you. The chaos that we see at the Row today is compiled by migrants being drunk, drinking all day, smoking marijuana, consuming drugs, and domestic violence, people having sex in the stairs, young people, teenagers. They use the fire exit stairs to go in there and do what teenagers do. We have people, actually trying to act like the hotel is theirs and we have no rights. The form in which they keep their rooms is horrendous. They don't clean it. They don't fold their clothes. It's in piles and piles. They're hoarding clothes. They're hoarding whatever they can hoard, and there's no accountability. And when you go into a room and you say something, the hotel management, especially the GM, has directed us that we're not allowed to tell them nothing, and practically they have carte blanche at the Row.
So Felipe, so what you would say is that you don't see this sort of expected gratitude for free housing, free food, obviously shelter in a city where rent is very expensive. You're not seeing a lot of that.
When there was a time in 2017 where I paid a lot of money to house my wife and my kids and I paid cable, I paid gas, I paid light, I paid my car payments. There was a lot of stuff that I had to be responsible for. Fortunately for the migrants, they got the government of the United States to hand them carte blanche to pretty much do as they wish. They go in and out of the hotel at will. You got people sick in there. They're spreading all type of illnesses, chicken pox, COVID, what you may have, and nobody is telling them they can't do that. So right now, the ones that have all the power, the migrants, the hotel workers lost their power at the hotel. The GM doesn't have our back. I guess all he cares about is making the money that he's making. But
I don't want to turn this into a personal grievance about the GM or how the hotel is run. What we're interested in,
let's go ahead and cut the tape. But you get the gist of the story. You give people free stuff, they don't appreciate it. All right, they get to just break into the United States, they don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate American exceptionalism. They don't. Why would they? Come in, come one, come all. It's no longer like you won the lottery, right? Once the borders are wide open, it's not rare anymore. It's not exceptional. It's just come one, come all. So why would you appreciate it? This is the problem. This is going to get worse. It's going to get so much worse because right now these people are inside of a hotel, right? But eventually they can't stay there forever, or at least I hope New Yorkers will stand up to make sure that that's so. They're going to have to go out and work and find jobs and all that kind of stuff. But you're going to see an increase of violence and everything else. I mean, it's insane. Not only that, you're going to New York is already insanely expensive. So you're going to be competing with housing and rent and all that kind of stuff with people that shouldn't be here. So, all right, that's that. All right. So now this is the last thing. I want to close it out with this. I was trying to get to this story all week on the Officer Tatum show. Oh, I do want to share this, though, real quick. Hat tip to Governor Ron DeSantis, the GOAT. He floats a ban a ban on all Chinese property ownership. I think I talked about it the other day, but I'm glad he's doing it. So Governor Ron DeSantis confirmed at a press conference on Tuesday that he does support banning China from owning property in Florida. He was at the press conference when he announced his project to restore Florida's Everglades. DeSantis confirmed that the state legislature has an appetite, quote unquote, to ban Chinese Communist Party influence in the state, including Chinese purchases of Florida's residential properties. He said, my view, and I'm quoting, on the economy in Florida is that we don't have to have holdings by hostile nations. He went on to say the legislature only went so far. A couple of years ago, I think, he says, I think there's an appetite to do even more because the CCP's influence in our society has been very insidious. So that is something we're going to need to take up in Florida. I'm glad he's doing it. I hope other governors will follow suit. And we can't have the Chinese Communist Party gaining a foothold or a stronghold here inside of the United States. All right, last thing. I wanted to talk to you about these SATs because this is very, very important. This is a story that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but they should be. It's not the most sexy story, but I think it'll be important to you once you understand where I'm going with this. But there was a column that I ran across on Unheard. It's called Don't Blame SATs for American Inequality. And here's the setup or the summary. The SAT has been for decades a rite of passage for American high school students, the test which pupils typically take a few times in their final 2 years of school. That assesses their reasoning skills and maths and language, assigning a score between 200 and 800 in each area. Now, I never took the SAT. I didn't take the ACT either. I did take a college placement test when I went to junior college for a couple of years before I dropped out of junior college too, to be frank. But I dropped out of junior college because I was fighting for my daughter and I was working a lot at the time. But But anyway, there's a score. You can get 200 to 800. Obviously, if you score 200, you've only written your name and you don't have very many brain cells. If you score 800, that's a perfect score, whether it's on the math portion of the test, or if it's in the language portion of the test. The column goes on. Generations of students have doggedly pursued the perfect score, 1600, obviously, right? Or at least one high enough to get them into an elite college. He says, when I took the SAT as a 16-year-old, it felt like a last chance. Why does he say this? Because it was a way to get to college for someone who failed a math or science class almost every semester of high school. The SAT is an essential rung of America's meritocratic ladder and a reliable source of stress among young people. So over the last decade, here's what he says has happened. Now, let me just go back to that last sentence really quick here. It was a last chance. If people who just sucked in high school, you get brilliant minds. People suck for whatever reasons. They don't like doing homework. They're a little rebellious, but they take the SAT and you're like, you're actually smart. I kind of saw that in you, but you just didn't apply yourself. So that's what he was saying was his case. All right. Now, over the last decades, dozens of colleges have withdrawn the SAT requirements. Now, I'm one of these guys. Remember when we had, what was it, Common Core, all this excessive testing and different wording and, 2 + 2 = 5, all that kind of crap. I wasn't for any of that. It got to a point where we were over testing in places like Florida. It was insane. But the SAT test should exist because we should know what our best of the best have to offer and what needs to be worked on in order to prepare those that are in K through 12, to prepare them for higher education. All right. For those that do want to go into college. But over the last decade, dozens have withdrawn the SAT requirements. Here's what he says. An institution such as Harvard, and the entire University of California system, no shock there, and dozens of others have either gone test optional when it comes to the SAT, so students can just submit their scores, but they're not required to in order to get into college. Other places have rejected the SAT entirely now. Sometimes the alternative, he says, is to further emphasize GPA, the grade point average, over the SAT. I'm going to tell you why this is dangerous. In other tellings, the alternative is to embrace so-called holistic admissions, which means more emphasis on the essay that people submit, extracurricular activities, and the feel of an application. So that is the holistic admissions, the feel of an application, essays and extracurricular activities in order to get into college. Carl, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. But there is a danger if we look exclusively at that. So all of this stuff is rooted in social justice and equity. So the Supreme Court has an opportunity, actually, I believe it's next month, to declare race-based affirmative action a thing of the past. And I certainly hope they will, because all of this is rooted in social justice, equity, race and all that kind of stuff. And that's very dangerous to the United States. What you're doing is diminishing, and I would say murdering, killing sounds better, flows better, killing brilliance. Carl, what do you mean by that? Well, I want to talk to you about the type of people that the SAT serves. And it's not what you think. I kind of alluded to it earlier. The writer goes on to say the kind of people that the SAT serves are those that are bright and talented, but fail to live up to their potential in class. All right. These are students that tend to be brilliant dreamers. They were the ones in possession of uncommon cognitive skills. Can you guys say Bill Gates? Can you guys say Elon Musk? You may not like them or their politics, but we would be lying if we said they're not brilliant. They dropped out of college. But the SAT caters to people like them, actually, but who perform poorly in knowledge-based exams because of bad time management. And maybe this isn't the case with them. I'm not exactly sure. But we all knew somebody like this in high school, right? They were really smart. They had a lot of potential. They didn't show up for class, ditched whatever it was, didn't pay attention, slept in class. But when you talk to them, they were smart as hell. And you were like, how do you know this stuff? They were just brilliant. They read things that they were interested in that stimulated their thinking, but school oftentimes was too easy for them. All right. But they performed badly, again, based on exams because of bad time management. They resisted organized education. They had an inability to prioritize school over their own interests. So he says for decades, excellent SAT scores got students into colleges that they wouldn't ordinarily get into, creating opportunities for us to find diamonds in the rough. That's what the SAT does. So what kind of kids does the SAT disadvantage? It disadvantages the grinders. The SAT disadvantages the grinders, those who were not particularly talented or gifted, but who were able to get good grades through ingratiating themselves to teachers, studying manically, like crazy, basically, and always getting whatever points were available for effort, extracurricular activities, extra bonus points, or whatever. He says there's no doubt that society needs both types of students, but the elimination of the SAT only benefits one. And that is the guy that slacked or girl that slacked in college, in high school, but they took the SAT test and you're like, doggone it. They are brilliant. Why is this important? Because we need brilliant people to rise to the top. It is great to have people that get good grade point averages, right? And again, all of this is based, the column goes on to say all of this is based, there's a lot of anti-SATers out there, and they say it's racist. Everything comes down to racism, just so you know, from the left. Everything is about race or sex, freaking perverts. They're either racist or they're perverts on the left. So everything comes down to that, or the climate, all right? But eventually this comes down to race. They want to make sure that the SATs are equal, that it feels equal among all minority groups. I don't want it to be that way. I don't care. You got some very smart black people, all right? And they should rise to the top. You got very smart white people. You got very smart Asian people. You got very smart Latinos. The best of the best should rise to the top. And it doesn't mean that people that get good grades and grade point average shouldn't rise to the top. But let's be honest. There are some people that are brilliant. There's some people that are smart, and there's some people that are dumb as hell. And we should all find our place in society, because regardless, God can use us all, and we can all have a contentment-filled life. All right. This is, but this is sad to me. But the SAT disadvantages the grinders. They take the SAT. They may not score as hard, but they'll work their butts off. These are the people that might make great managers. They may, may be self-employed or whatever, but they're not going to be Elon Musk. All right. They're not going to be Bill Gates. They're not going to be the most brilliant engineer. No matter how hard they work, they're not going to be able to get everything. I would say that I fall in line of a grinder. I think I'm smart. I don't think I'm brilliant, though. I know there's people that are just brilliant. Now, there's times where, don't get me wrong, I say things and you're like, dang, he's brilliant. And I don't blame you. But in this context, there are really brilliant people. And we need to keep that in mind. We can't fall into this nonsense. We can't fall into this nonsense that everything is about race. Guys, we are so past race. The only people that keep bringing race back up are the left, and to dumb down our society because you think SATs are racist or somehow by taking SATs, all that we reveal is inequality. That's insane to me. I think it does the exact opposite. There was a great line that he had in here. He says the SAT does not create inequality. The SAT reveals inequality. Here's what he means by that. Very important line. You can determine how good a school district is, I think, based upon the teaching. The SAT lets you know in your district where your students are failing the most, what you need to work at. If you don't take it, you don't know that. If all you do is have people working extra, for extra bonus points, grinding, doing the extra work to get the A, when truthfully they're a B- student, you don't find out what they really need in order to become an A student. What we're doing is killing brilliance. If we get rid of the SAT, make no mistake about it, what we're doing is killing brilliance, and we should not want that. America is an exceptional nation, and one of the ways in which we test for exceptionalism, academically speaking, of course, is through the SAT. And one of the ways in which kids will strive to do better and become better academically is by stressing out about this test and wanting to perform better on this test and doing the work necessary in junior high and high school to do well on that test and get great placements. Those are the people that belong in college. The problem is we got too many grinders that don't belong in college, but they're there because they warmed up to the teacher. They did all they could in order to get good grades, but they probably would have been better plumbers, electricians, who knows? Or maybe they do belong in college, but not in the fields that they believe they belong in. I'm just saying. Anyway, I thought it was a very fascinating column. I'm not going to get through. There's more to it, but basically, that's the gist of it. These people want diversity. They don't believe that the SATs give them diversity, and it's just a shame. When they say diversity, when colleges say diversity, they just mean color. I do want to read this part. GAP is not a strong predictor of there was a book called Measuring Success, reprints, a 2009 study that is often invoked in the SAT critics' arguments. The research found that the GPA was not a strong predictor of college success, which some take to mean that we can safely discard the SAT because it's at odds. Because it adds nothing to our understanding of a student's potential. But Measuring Success goes on to examine a replication of the study with newer data, which finds that predictive accuracy of GPA has fallen, probably due to grade inflation, a problem which does not afflict a test like the SAT, which is normed every year. Basically, the critics have the wrong argument, right? They have the wrong argument. They're arguing that the GPA is not a strong predictor of college success. All right, it's just sad. It's just sad where we're going. We're intentionally trying to dumb down American students because we want everyone to be equal, and no one's equal. We're not equal. Some people have different talents. I want to make sure that I'm not confused on this point. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about this. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information just before I close that out, because there was a great argument that he made that I think I'm missing here, but I did get the gist of the column. But I just want to make sure I got here it is. Let me just read this last part. We'll close it up. He says, consider the claim that the SAT should be abolished because it is not, in fact, a strong predictor of college performance. Those who make it often throw around correlations between the SAT and freshman year grades that appear to be low. All right. But this is a quirk. So the freshman grades appear to be low, but they get better grades. They make it into college, but they probably get better grades because they ingratiate themselves to the teachers. They work hard for the extra bonus points or whatever, and then they get better grades. All right. So maybe that's why the anti-SATers say, well, the SAT isn't a predictor of college. These kids make it into college without taking the SAT. They bust their butt. Their grades rise. But he says, but this is a quirk of how the data is collected. Such analysis can necessarily only consider students who got a high enough SAT score to get into a given college. That is, students who don't get into college can't have college grades, and so that whole sector of data is missing from analysis. Basically, what about the students that didn't make it into college? So these anti-SATers are looking at numbers and collecting data from students that did well, that worked hard to get good enough grades or a high enough GPA to get into college. But what they don't add are all of the people that tried to work hard, but still never made it to college. The numbers are flawed, in other words. And they're using this, the anti-SATers are using this data in order to argue the point that we need to get rid of the SAT, when the truth is there's a whole entire swath of people that makes a point that, no, we need the SAT. It's insane. Anyway, all right, I've rambled on enough. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please be sure to subscribe everywhere podcasts are found. SalemPodcastNetwork.com, theCarlJacksonShow.com. Also find me on on social media. I'm sorry, I don't know why I froze there, but follow me on social media, The Carl Jackson Show, and support our sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com, promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Until next time, guys, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.